Since the dawn of time, people have always had to have weapons. It's probably because inherent to reality, you have evil people, you have bigoted people, you have the need to get food, and because we like to entertain ourselves, shooting is fun. After I started actually shooting guns, I fell in love with the aspect of actually hitting the target. I mean, you're basically using an explosive force of powder to propel a metal pebble through a tube, and then somehow using the gas that's left behind to make it do that over and over. I think that's really, really cool. I really appreciate the time that Mark has put into actually having me come out here and giving me a chance to talk about the things I don't normally really get a chance to talk to people about. There's no stress in the environment when you're around Marcus. Throughout the conversation, Marcus has been very understanding, very patient with what I've had to say.
He's mad funny.
Wow, Marcus Ward. He's a really nice guy, but gosh, he asks some pointy questions.
I respect him. I respect what he does, what he's doing.
This Marcus Ward show is, he's bringing light to a lot of very special issues and marginalized people.
Wait, can you do that? Is real Japanese. Yeah, it is, right? That is.
The world is a dangerous place. There is violence. You can pretend that there isn't, but that won't stop you from being affected by violence. You can live on a nice ivory castle and out there somewhere, but somewhere down below on that mountainside there will be violence, and that violence can climb. Because we are biological beings existing on a plane of finite resources, and we need to consume to survive. And when people don't have what they want, they'll go out and get it. Some people just don't care and will take whatever shortcut it takes. Sometimes that shortcut is slitting a throat. But if you're ever put in a situation where it's literally life or death, food or starvation, people will do terrible things.
Have you been in that situation before?
No, not that level of situation, because I was in a second world country. That's what Vietnam is. It's never safe in a country like that. Violence doesn't really matter if you're poor or not. It only makes it more likely when you're poor. Because the poor areas are where the violence mostly originates from. It's either from poverty or from government. Those were the two main sources of violence.
So in Vietnam, for you, it was what?
For me, as a child, it was poverty. But the general norm is that it was a fairly civilized society. But civilized societies don't usually stay that way permanently. Even Rome eventually broke and fell to savagery. So that is the natural state of the world. What we have created, these buildings, this ability, this is temporary. This is a sustained effort that people have to put effort into to maintain. If we stop maintaining it, it crumbles. And even when we do maintain it, there are cracks, there are holes where evil can sneak through. So just because it seems safe doesn't mean it ever really is.
So what's your second reason why we all should be armed?
Because bigotry exists. Just the simple hatred of another person simply because it exists. And that hatred can drive people to do things.
We are not leaving! We are not leaving!
I believe that people who think they are discriminated against, people who think that there's someone out there actively trying to remove their liberty, should take that into their own hands.
Do you feel like that?
I'm not even in the slightest discriminated against.
You're not discriminated against?
I mean, not for my race, no. There never has it really been for my race, at least not from white people. I have been called derogatory things. I have been treated differently, but it's always been from other minorities. I've never been treated badly by white people. For me, it's actually mostly been from black people.
Black people?
Usually from movements such as Black Lives Matter, who think that I'm not minority enough.
Black Lives Matter!
Black Lives Matter!
Black Lives Matter!
Like, I'm not exempt from bigotry just because I'm not white. I can be bigoted. So let's see, when I was a kid here, growing up, my first friends when I came here was actually a group of Mexican kids. And so because I affiliated with them, we got basically verbally attacked a lot by the black neighborhood over there. Like, right where I lived, it was a bunch of Mexicans and maybe some like random Koreans. But this entire area over here was mostly black. And for some reason, they hated me. They hated my friends.
So do you think they hated you because you were Vietnamese?
All I know is that they called me racial terms.
What did they call you?
Gook, chink, you know the standards. All I know is that they were racist towards me, and they were not white.
The third reason why people should be armed.
The third reason why is because firearms are a necessitative tool that allows us to basically go out there and, should we ever need to, obtain food. It's the most efficient and ethical form of harvesting animal life for consumption right now.
So do you even purchase your meat from supermarkets? No. You
Yes,
go out hunting.
because it's expensive to go hunting.
Okay.
Government regulations, they don't like us having fun or having hobbies.
Fourth reason.
Fourth reason for having guns, fun. The feeling you get when somehow your action over here affects this little target way over there is a really nice, satisfying feeling. It's the same feeling you get when you're playing golf and get a hole-in-one.
When did you shoot your first gun?
Let's just say 7.
7. Okay.
So my grandpa took me out, and he had an illegal Mosin Nagant because, you know, the communist government doesn't like people defending themselves. I wonder why. But he had one left over from the war that he actually cut down for a child's size. Now, he would cut it down so it would be lighter and easier for me to carry, but all the kick was still there. But anyways, yeah, as a kid, the first thing I shot was an alligator. Eating it was fine. It was a little bit chewy. Definitely not the weirdest thing I ate in Vietnam.
What is your definition of communism? And how does that manifest in your love of guns?
I mean, evil. Just pure evil. People can debate about what Karl Marx meant all day long. But at the end of the day, 100 million people died as a direct result of people waving communist banners. That's what it means to me. Communism, that banner marched into the villages and the cities where my family was, where my family's friends are, pulled people out of their homes, and put a bullet in their head, and threw them in a ditch. That was our experience of communism.
In Vietnam.
In Vietnam, in Laos, in Cambodia, in China, in the Soviet Union, in Bulgaria, well, that's actually part of the Soviet Union, everywhere. Anytime any powerful communist organization popped up, and I mean actual like power, if it came to control, people died. That is the natural pattern of communism. And the allowance of it to propagate is the definition of insanity. It's just letting things, the same thing, happen over and over and over again, expecting that somehow out of the repetition of that insanity, you get this utopia that Karl Marx talked about. And the only people I've ever really heard defend communism, there's only 2. You have the brainwashed youth of these communist governments who are actively being trained by these schools to believe so, because propaganda, that's what governments do. And then you have these middle class to rich white kids here in Portland, in places like Portland, who've never experienced communism, who've never actually been out there beyond the safety of their parents' money, or the cops that walk around the street with their guns keeping the streets relatively safe from actual people killing you for bread. Claiming that communism is totally achievable in this perfect world, and if we just got together, held hands, and sang kumbaya, it would work. But the reality is, it doesn't work. It's been tried many times, and that utopia outcome has never occurred. What did occur was 100 million deaths. That's what it means to me. Our family was labeled as enemies of the state. And they fought for the republic.
Do you still fear the government now? Do you still fear...
In Vietnam? Yeah, the communism is still a thing in Vietnam. It's still the same cops, still the same military, still the same administration. It's just they can't reach me now because I'm an American. They can't reach me, but other Americans can reach me. It's the ideology that transfers over. It's the ideology that corrupts people. It causes them to do these things. If you look at the Vietnam War, if you look at any communist uprising, it wasn't just people waking up going, I'm going to kill my neighbor. It doesn't work like that. They had to be taught to kill their neighbor.
Will you ever go back home?
Will I ever go back to Vietnam? I don't want to. I'm an American now, and I'm going to stay that way.
Physical appearance, do you ever feel like, well, I look this way, so maybe I may not be an American or I'm not treated as such?
No. A lot of people have tried to tell me that is a thing, and I tell them that's bullshit, and they should stop trying to lie to me. The only people that ever told me these things were white socialist dudes. White socialist dudes.
Did they discriminate against you?
Do they discriminate against me because of my skin color?
Correct.
Only when they find out that I don't subscribe to far-left ideology. Only when they find out that I won't fall in line.
Mm-hmm.
That I can't be used as a pawn, that I can't be used as a token minority. I've been called a race traitor, an actual race traitor for nothing.
But earlier you did say that it has only been black people who's discriminated against you.
For me, it's actually mostly been from black people. I've never been treated badly by white people. Yeah, and still, mostly those black people.
Mm-hmm. Mostly, but I mean, you have been racially abused.
Again, the white people, they have to be careful about it. So, you know, those guys up there, they'll bring up race all the time.
What is the message that you want people to have of you or to take away from what you're saying when they watch this?
So with me, I am an American guy. What I'm noticing in society right now is that we're trying to get rid of things that were once seen as traditionally American. And when I say traditionally American, people usually say like, oh, well, traditionally we had slaves and all that stuff. No, that's not what I'm talking about. Traditionally, people are supposed to be protected by the Bill of Rights. To really be an American, you have to acknowledge the Bill of Rights and acknowledge people's personal liberties.
My name is Mike, and I'm an American.
But what I will fight for is your right to go out and buy a gun. I don't want anyone out there to say, you can't buy a gun because you're black.
No, this is the Russian squat, dude. This is Somali.
The natural state of the world is that it is a dangerous place. There is evil out there. There are bigots out there. Not everyone out there is going to give you a smile. Not everyone out there is going to be out there to help you when you're down. There will be some people who will actively try to exploit you. There will be some people that want to hurt you for whatever reason. And it is only up to you. Only you can defend yourself from those people. You can't expect the cops to show up when you're actively being raped. It will take, what, 20 minutes? Where will you be by 20 minutes? Who's to stop soldiers from taking over your house? If the government really wants to come down and use your home to house their troops and take your food and all that stuff, what stops them? It's you with a gun. It's the only defense you really have against people who are trying to fuck you over. I think people have just grown up way too sheltered in this country. But you gotta remember, like, this country rose up from dirt, from conflict. This had to happen for us to be safe here. But when you have people here who feel too safe, you won't have the people who are prepared to do what it takes to ensure that liberty and freedom and pursuit of happiness is able to persist. Then you get these people who are authoritarian, these people who think that, you know what, you don't know what's best for you. I know what's best for you. Just obey me. You get those people to rise. And we need to encourage people to take their own happiness into their own hands. The whole concept of people are humans and they have God-given liberties. That's really what I want people to know. That there's evil out there. That evil wants to hurt you. That wants to enslave you. That wants to take away everything you love. And only you can stop it. It's you with a gun.
Hi YouTube, it's Marcus Ward. I want to thank you for watching the Marcus Ward Show. Don't forget to subscribe and share.